Okay, so
Hi, so welcome Sarah. Sarah Platt is joining us today with the Real Life Career Stories. Thank you ever so much for giving us your time. So you've had quite a good journey to, I think, for these students to be able to kind of listen to, because you've kind of gone through lots of different things in your career changes to get you to where you are now. So you could just take a couple of minutes to tell us kind of what you do in your job right now, and then kind of how you got there and what your journey was.
Okay, so at the moment, what I do is I'm a social media manager and strategist. What that means is I help business owners, so small businesses who may not necessarily have the time to do their website and get their social media working really well for their business. What I do is I do that for them and help them to get more customers and make more sales, make more money.
Excellent.
So that's it in a nutshell, really.
Brilliant. So, but you didn't grow up wanting to be a social media,
No, I had no idea what it was. Well, it didn't even exist when I was going to university. There was no internet, so how old am I? What?
So what was your journey? What brought you to here then?
Well, I started out. I went to uni. That was kind of expected of me. I was actually, to go back before that. Actually, I realised now that I had something called selective mutism, which meant that I struggled to communicate with people, and it took a lot of effort. If you think of someone who's really introverted, and it's getting over that, and I found that really difficult in my school life, and so I kind of went through what was expected. I went to college, I went to uni, and that was that. I did a classics degree, which actually has come in really handy because of my children. It helps me to understand what some of the medical terms are that the doctors are talking about. So that's come in handy, actually, bizarrely. Out of that, I sort of fell into doing insurance. I worked in Manchester, where my husband was. So I did that for a couple of years. It was just a job. I was good at it, but I wasn't that fussed about it. It was bringing in the money.
Yeah.
And then my mum died. So I came home and took over the family business that I'd already helped her out a bit with it. We did farm buildings and industrial buildings, like on sort of industrial sites and that kind of thing, big, massive buildings. So we built those, which was good fun. Me and my stepdad and my brother built that business up, which was really, really fun. And I also worked for a financial advisor part-time as well at the same time, just to bring a bit more money in to the family. So that was a bit random, really. Got to know a lot about how buildings stay up and don't fall down, and physics and all of that, which I was never any good at. But got the hang of that. And then we decided to take a year out. We went travelling and doing some gliding competitions. That I'm a glider pilot. I have been for ever. Cool, yeah. So I did some like national competitions and that. And then when we ran out of money, I came back and I did, yeah. And I basically looked to see what was around. There was a job going in a housing group just down the road from me as a PA. I thought, I can do that. I'll give it a go. Went to the interview. Really, really good, actually. I could do everything they were asking for. I'm really good at organisation and getting stuff done. So yeah, it fitted really well, actually. I worked myself up in that company to become a manager. I was actually managing resident involvement, which was going out to see tenants and seeing what they found good and bad and what we could improve, that kind of stuff. And then taking that back to the other staff members and saying, well, look, this is what they're saying. This is a bit rubbish. Can we do anything about it? So there's a lot of liaison, as it were, going on. So that was quite fun. Also quite stressful. And particularly stressful because at that time we'd got 2 kids by that time. who have quite a lot of additional needs. There's a lot of medical stuff that we have to do every day. It's quite intense, I have to say. So the pressure built and the stress levels rose, and myself and my husband, we weren't sleeping at all. We were taking more and more time off and flexi time and running out of sick days and all sorts of things to manage this situation. So I thought, well, if I can be a PA in a company, I could do it myself. Why don't I do that? So I did. It was a bit randomly brave for me. So I just basically, I couldn't take it anymore. I gave my notice in. So look, I'm leaving next month. Oh, okay.
Made the decision and just did
it. Yeah, I just did it. I had a conversation with a friend of mine whose brother needed some support in that direction. So the day after I left my job, I had an interview with him online on Skype, and we decided to go for it. And essentially, he kind of replaced my salary, which was like awesome. So that was one client. That sorted that, and I still work for him, actually. Really, really, really great guy. So that's what started it all off. So I was PAing for him, basically, doing everything that he needed. And he's way across the country, so it didn't matter. A lot of the stuff he does is international as well. So I was liaising with him in Europe, and it was good fun.
And I suppose it worked around your family's needs as well, then, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And he was very approachable about that. We were very open and honest about the situation, and that was fine. So that worked really well. At the same time as doing that, I was in Facebook groups talking to people about virtual assistant type things and how I could help them, just helping people out, really. And that actually resulted in me getting 2 new clients to actually do people's social media, which was not something that I set out to do.
Yeah.
But actually, it turned out that I was really good at it. And they went, "Can you do mine?" I went, "Oh, all right then." Okay. So that's kind of where my business effectively started from there, about 3-4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. And I suppose kind of with social media, people assume that it's the person behind the profile picture doing all the work. But one of the things that I've realised coming into business is, and I was quite shocked at the very beginning at how much is done by other people. I'd be in groups or on pages, and I'd be having a conversation with somebody, and then I would find out that actually it's their sort of social media manager that I'm actually talking to. And at the very beginning, I was like, "Oh my God, I've been lied to,"
Yeah, I mean,
the person that I'm talking to.
Yeah, the real skill, of course, is in getting to know your customer and how they work and how they come across to people, and the sort of tone they use, all that sort of thing, all about their business. And then effectively you can become them, or nearly them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And when that relationship's right, it works really, really well. Yeah. That's good fun.
When you were kind of coming out of university, and was this the kind of pathway you thought? Obviously not social media, because we've kind of established it didn't exist before, but, the kind of the PA side of things, did you ever think that's where you'd be?
No, to be honest with you, no. I had no idea. I initially wanted to be in the RAF when I was sort of 16, that kind of thing. Went for the interview, flunked it completely. I was awful.
And do you know what? I think especially some of the students watching will need to hear that. Sometimes we have this dream, don't we? And we're going to do this, and then we get in the environment, and you're like,
it just wasn't going to happen. Yeah, I mean, because I've been flying all my life, I thought, oh well, that's a natural thing. I'll go and do that. It turns out I'm not exactly officer material. Fair enough.
There's this whole other area that covers. It's not just about they want all this other stuff too.
You've got to be quite a bit of an extrovert and all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't for me. I wanted to be an airline pilot too.
Oh wow! and that's the thing, isn't it, that I think is huge. Is we talk about inclusivity and all of that kind of thing. We talk a lot around kind of, you can't be selective in the interview process. Everybody has to be given the opportunity. We need women in engineering, we need nannies, all that kind of thing. But
turns out they can be selective though.
Yeah, there are some jobs out there that you can't do purely because of stature or build, and that's not going, women can't be builders or anything kind of,
It frustrated the heck out of me at the time, but there's nothing, I cannot be physically 5'3" unless you put me on a rack.
Well, hopefully maybe, in the future they'll start to build planes that, the smaller stature, and you can still go back to it. But, this is where I talk a lot to students about their research. I sit with them and they say, I want to do this. And I'm like, that's great. But have you looked at not grades and academically what they need, but as a personal skill set, what is required? Because where you said earlier about being an extrovert and an introvert, some jobs require you to have the ability to just walk up and talk to people, and some people don't have that about them, and it's not a negative. It's part of their personality. There is nothing wrong with it, but that means that they can still look at those jobs, but they're going to have to know that is a requirement, so they can already start working on how they're going to change that, don't they?
I mean, in some of the work that I do as well, I do speak to people. I speak to groups of people, and I'm really comfortable doing that now. I'll speak to people one-to-one, not an issue. Small groups, not a problem at all. About something that I'm confident in, and I know my stuff, and I'm confident that I do know it, and then it's fine. And practice makes perfect, doesn't it? Like they say.
Definitely.
So
you had to overcome a condition at the beginning, and like you said, now you know what it is, but at the time I suppose people just thought you were shy, or said that you were rude because you wouldn't interact, or
absolutely that. Yes I'm like, I'm not, I just don't know what to say to you. I have no idea what to say to you.
I don't want to talk to you particularly.
No.
But going through interviews and things like that, that's difficult, isn't it? Because we talk to students and we say, right, in interviews you need to ask a certain amount of questions, and you need to do this and you need to do that, and the interviewer has an expectation of what is going to happen and how much interaction there's going to be, and some people will naturally just find that difficult, and they find a way around it, don't they? And you did.
I've got I don't mind interviews now. It's more of a mutual exploration process, and that's absolutely fine. But previously I was like, rabbit in the headlights. Oh my god, what am I going to say? No idea. Don't ask me a question I haven't practiced the answer to.
We have to be careful practicing questions, don't we, that they don't always ask what we want to be asked.
No. So it comes over time, doesn't it?
Definitely. Experience is huge, and this is where I kind of say to a lot of people, education doesn't have to be academic. Education quite often is life skills. It's the people that surround you, it's the people you work with, your family, neighbours, whoever you interact with. That can all form part of your education going forward, can't it?
Definitely. I mean the variety of things that I've done, like running your own business, building that up, liaising with people that you never would normally as part of your life, and from completely different backgrounds. It all goes into today, where I can pretty much speak to anyone on a one-to-one basis.
Within your boundaries.
Absolutely. And I know what they are, and that's great.
Brilliant. So you've had quite a good journey. You've overcome lots of things, and like you said, you've got your family life, which has a huge impact on where you are, and you've done amazing, and the work that you do is really good as well, and it's actually really clever.
I love it.
To do all this social media stuff as if you are somebody completely different. It confuses me completely how I have no idea who I'm talking to anymore. It's like, who is this guy? But if you were to give one piece of advice to the students that are watching about their career journey, about what's going to come next, what would you say to them?
That's a tricky one. I think probably one of the key things for me has been about managing your energies. which sounds a bit woo-woo, but I don't mean it like that. What I mean is I've noticed that certainly since my kids have been around, and they're very intense kids as well, so you may or may not have that, but the amount of energy that can be expended just with dealing with that does not leave an awful lot left for the business side of things. So it's about, when my head's in business mode, making the most of that. So it's making the most of my time. Prioritizing has been so important for me to be able to do what I do for my clients and to build my business, because if I didn't, nothing would happen, would it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, although, a lot of the students right now might not have children, or they might, and they might well be working towards, like, in the future,
there might be other caring responsibility, or whatever responsibilities there
exactly, are. There will be some form of responsibility they have. But even if they don't, they still have those friendships, don't they? And and if you're the first person to get a job amongst your friends, and then all of a sudden you're not available to Snapchat or Instagram, or be available on the group chats, you very quickly get left out. But your new priority is, you have a job and you're working, and it's difficult for them to change that mindset, because they're used to, since primary school, since infant school, since reception, their friendships have been the only thing that matters. And now all of a sudden those friendships do have to take a step back. And it's a good kind of skill to have, because actually that's what happens later on when you become a parent, or you become you have your parents you might have to care for, and all of that kind of thing, and things in life happen where you have to prioritize other people. It's quite a good skill to start to learn now, isn't it?
It definitely is. I mean, something that's happened to me, well, not happened to me, I have made happen today, has been, I've noticed that I need to spend more time on various bits of things. So what I've had to do is take the decision to cut something else out. So I've just sent my resignation letter from being a school governor, because that needs to come down for me.
Yeah.
Because I've got other priorities that I need to spend my time and mental energy on solving.
Brilliant.
Yeah, busy day.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm glad you didn't cut us out.
Absolutely not.
And still made the time for us. I really do appreciate you giving me your time and sharing your story and your advice with for these interviews, for the benefit of these students. I know that there will be somebody sat there thinking, that sounds like me, and it's great to know that there is a future, there is a pathway for me. And I have options, which is so powerful, and is really important for them. So thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.